Senator Santorum, how are you?
I'm doing great, Laura. Thanks for having me on the program. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Rick, is it enough for you that Rick Perry said, okay, I was over-passionate and it was inappropriate to make that comment about, well, people don't have hearts if they disagree with me on the issue of the DREAM Act?
He hasn't changed his position as far as I know. So I think that really is what's telling, that he still believes that federal taxpayer, that state taxpayers, and I suspect federal taxpayers, should support people here in this country illegally with taxpayer subsidies. And if you look at my record in the United States Senate, I consistently voted against that. Will continue to vote against that, and his record on the fence is no better. I mean, the idea. Look, go back, Governor Perry, because he asked me the question, have I ever been to the border? And then, of course, didn't want to hear the answer, which is yes. And he probably didn't do his homework in finding out that I introduced a very comprehensive border security bill when I was in the United States Senate. It called for over 1,000 miles of new border fencing, and it also called for, I said at least 1,000 miles. It could build more, but at the time 1,000 was one of those was more than anybody else was talking about, and it talked about having surveillance, all sorts of technology, all sorts of boots on the ground. It talked about temporary deployment of National Guard. I mean,
right. But do you think he's
that Rick Santorum or anybody else just wants to build a fence and then just leave it alone is silly.
Well, I think he clearly overstated or understated your position on this, and yet I think by the same token, you don't really believe, do you, that Rick Perry is kind of more of an open borders kind of guy? I mean, do you actually believe that?
No, I don't say he's an open borders kind of guy, but we have a very different idea of how to protect the border, and his ideas are just to deploy troops there and to have surveillance. And I believe that good fences make good neighbors, and a combination of the two is proven to be the best way to solve this problem. I mean, if you look at the areas where you've seen a dramatic reduction in the amount of border crossings, fences have been a part of that solution.
Let's talk about the fact that Herman Cain obviously has had a big surge, and I think you, Herman Cain, Michelle Bachmann, Newt Gingrich to some extent, you are representing kind of more traditional conservatism to a lot of folks. And he's kind of caught on, and you have a lot of support out there, but you haven't gotten the numbers of Herman Cain. Why do you think that is? I mean, why is he up there 11 points up and you're down at 3%?
I can't answer that question other than the fact that we're just going to continue to go out there and articulate that message. I mean, Herman's certainly a dynamic speaker and is a very effective communicator. Our appeal is that I think I'm a good communicator too, but I also have a good track record of accomplishing things for the conservative cause, and have a very strong message of how we're going to get this economy going. All due respect to Herman, his 999 plan, which I know probably has some appeal to folks in looking at the low rates, but Herman Cain brings a brand new tax to the federal government, a national sales tax to the federal government, and that is a huge mistake. I mean, we do not need another tax in Washington, D.C. We do not need to be taxing people on everything they do, the savings, investments, as well as spending. And the idea that we're going to have a national sales tax in addition to an income tax, and anybody think that 9% income tax rate is going to stay at 9% very long? I understand the appeal, and people think that he's got a plan. It's a bad plan. It's a plan that's going to explode the size of government and give the government the ability to tax you even more.
People seem to like the plan. I mean, you say it's a bad plan, but I think people love the plan. I joked that Obama tried to copy it, and he wanted to do 19, 19, and 19. But people kind of like it. It's simple and seems like it's fairly reasonable. And to me, I've been talking to a lot of African-American listeners across the country over the last few days, and they seem to love the 999 plan. But you're pretty down on it.
I'm very down on it because it introduces a brand new tax to Washington, D.C. And the last thing we need is to give the Congress and the President and in future Congresses the ability to increase sales taxes and to, of course, increase income taxes. We have limited the government to income taxes. If you want to, as the fair tax does, if you want to eliminate the income tax and replace it with a consumption tax, that's one thing. But to add a new tax to the federal government's quiver and have them be able to tax you every which way. But
you think it would just be the beginning of a big pylon? Yeah, you say it'd be the beginning of a big pylon.
Absolutely.
In other words, if it stayed at 999 though and didn't go up, you'd like it.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, you don't vote for something with the idea that things are going to stay the same in Washington. Mm-hmm. You have to understand what the consequences are of introducing a brand new tax to Washington D.C. and you have to know that it's not going to stay that way. No tax has ever stayed that way for much more than a few years. Yeah,
no, I hear you on that. And obviously, that's been the big concern about this for some time. A question from our Facebook page: when are you going to start attacking Romney at these debates?
I'm happy to. I look forward to the opportunity. I mean, it's been sort of frustrating to not be engaged in a lot of these debates. And
well, you got a ton of time the debate before last, and you hit. I mean, I understand why you went after Perry. You guys were you're after the same kind of people and the same kind of supporters, and you have to take out who your closest competitor is for that group. I get that, but now you've kind of done that with Perry to some extent. And are you going to move on to Romney now, Santorum, with that razor sharp line of repartee?
I look forward to the opportunity of talking to Governor Romney about his health care. The reason I'm in this race is because of Obamacare and because I believe Governor Romney is simply the wrong candidate to go up against Barack Obama and what I believe will be issues in this campaign, which is health care. So I go back in the 6 debates and look. It never directed a question to me anywhere on the issue of health care, and it's been frustrating to sit on the sidelines and not being able to get in. But that's there's been a lot of issues which I would have loved to have weighed in on, but again, didn't have the opportunity. I look forward to that opportunity, and trust me, I will not hold any punches when it comes to the governor's position on this and a whole bunch of other things that I think he's been wrong on or flip-flopped on.
Hey, Rick, I was joking the other day that, if you look closely, if you squinted really closely when you guys were up there debating at the Fox debate, you could see a Romney for President pin on your lapel and on Michelle Bachmann's. I was just teasing, though. No, because you guys were hitting Perry pretty hard, so it was like that. Romney didn't have to really do much with Perry because you guys were boom, 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 boom. I was like, that was just pretty funny.
Well, again, you go back and look at the debate, and one of the things that's been frustrating, I think, from both Michelle and Newt and I, is that all of the questions are oriented toward the other two contenders. And so if you look at some of these questions that I was asked, it's, what do you think about Governor Perry's this? Well, if they're asking me about Governor Perry's position on this, of course you're going to weigh in on that opportunity. And again, there are lots of debates that are coming down the line, and rest assured, I will talk about the differences in policy between where I am and Governor Romney, and talk about where I want to go. I mean, this is another thing that I'm very excited about. I think we have the plans in place to really revitalize our economy and to get the healthcare system in a way that's consumer driven as opposed to government driven. And we've got good ideas, and we've got a track record of actually implementing those ideas.
Did you think it was odd or surprising that all of you were asked about whether Obama was a socialist, and pretty much all of you said yes, or social democrat, and Romney kind of didn't want to go down that road?
Look, the president is what he is.
It probably doesn't even matter what you call him. It's just ineffective.
Well, you be honest with the American public of what you think. I mean, that's who he is. He believes in government control of every aspect of our economy, at least on the ones that he has interest in, which is healthcare and autos and banking and finance, and you go on down the list. I mean, he's been pretty clear that the government needs a heavier hand in manipulating and dictating the way American business operates.
Do you like the whole compassionate conservatism deal, that whole brand, or whatever it is those types of conservatives are calling it now? Kind of the rebranded conservatism. David Brooks called it the American greatness conservatism, and George Bush compassionate conservatism. It was kind of a soft-pedaled conservatism, and it was different on some key issues and had a different emphasis. And do you think someone like a Mitt Romney would be more of that type of a conservative or more of a traditionalist conservative?
Well, the problem with Mitt Romney is that his positions on a lot of, look at his answer on the issue of education. He was, standing behind the federal government's involvement in education, and you see a predilection to supporting these top-down solutions to problems that that conservatives generally don't support. So I don't call it compassionate concern. I call it not conservative. When you have a governor of a state who says that it was right for Massachusetts to have government control of the healthcare system, it's not right for any state because it's not how America functions best. And while it may be right in the sense that's what the Democrats in Massachusetts wanted, didn't mean it was right for the state to do it that way.